Welcome, everybody. My name is Richard Fertig, and I'm the founder and president of Brilliant Transportation. I'm starting the first episode of Simply Brilliant at the request of my employees. We hold Monday morning meetings, and they find a lot of my current thoughts to be inspirational and motivational, and a different perspective on things that we do. So, by way of introduction, because this is our first episode, my name is Richard, as I mentioned earlier. I'm a Wharton MBA. I spent about a decade on Wall Street running a $4 billion portfolio of international hedge funds, and then ultimately in 2009 lost my job and decided to find my entrepreneurial self, and I started a company called Brilliant Transportation, which really was to solve all of the inefficiencies that I found and all the frustrations as I traveled the world. So happy to report we're a multi-million-dollar company now. We're growing 30% annually, and it's been a tremendous journey. I'm followed by a tremendous team, and we have terrific clients, and really my team thought that the messages that I spread on Monday morning team meetings would be interesting for others to follow. So in the first episode, we're going to talk about some current events that just occurred. The Mets, being here in New York City, just lost the World Series, and I'm not a sports fan, so it's kind of ironic that I'm going to discuss the Mets, but I'm going to tell you my perspective on what I saw and what I did. In Game 5 of the World Series, as we know, the Mets were winning all the way through to the ninth inning, and the Royals were losing by 2, and then they tied and eventually won. That part is known. The part that I found most interesting was after 8 innings, the manager of the Mets, whose name I don't even know, had a discussion with his star pitcher, again, whose name I don't know, in the dugout, where the pitcher wanted to continue and go out and win the World Series game. He wanted that as part of his legacy and really motivating him. And I saw the heated discussion, and I saw the manager ultimately seem to yield, but I wasn't certain. I watched the game to see if the starting pitcher would go back out for the ninth inning, and as soon as I saw him go out of the dugout, I turned the game off because, in my opinion, the manager failed. He followed the emotional plea of an employee, in this case, his star pitcher. I know he's high quality and he wanted to do the right thing. But he failed the team, he failed the organization, he failed all of the fans because he didn't follow his gut and he didn't make the difficult call. The greater good prevails. It's really important to do what's right for the team and the organization and everybody else. And if you must have one person upset with you, that's a very small price to pay. So just because you're the coach doesn't mean that you're making all the right calls, and you really need to follow your gut and make the call that you think is ultimately best in the greater interest. Another thing occurred just this past weekend, which is the New York City Marathon, and I spent a little bit of time talking to my team about who watched it and what they did. We had some people that actually volunteered for the marathon, which was excellent, one of my favorite events here. And we'll talk about it shortly. I've always wanted to run a marathon, but that's not the point right now. What I wanted to talk about at the marathon was the dominance of Kenya and Ethiopia, and not just in this marathon, but in many marathons and for an extended period of time. And what we talked about as a team was, is there anything unique to Kenyan culture, Kenyan fitness routines, anything about their diet? Is there any particular reason that these athletes dominate long-distance running for decades, and why? And the answer, I think, ultimately is they want it more. It's their way out. It's a way that they can, on their own terms, produce a level of success that they couldn't otherwise do in their own country. It's highly regarded, it's highly respected, and it's admired in their country, and they're heroes. But relative to, say, Americans, it seems to me that they just have a much more innate burning desire, and as a result of that goal orientation and that ambition, they make it reality. Not to take anything away from any of the marathoners that are American or European or anything, terrific runners, but I just think at the end of the day, the people that we see win, the top 4 spots or the top 5 spots in New York City Marathon, for males and females, were all Kenyan and Ethiopian, and you have to question why. So for me, it was really important to get down to what their goals were and what their ambitions were, and I think we as a team are motivated by that sort of thought. Like, what do we want? How can we get there? And how hard are we willing to work day in and day out and persist to get what we need? It's not easy. And that brings me to the final comment that I'll make on this first episode, which is about a sense of urgency and not regretting things, and don't wait for tomorrow. I've always wanted to run a marathon, and I'm a terrible runner. For whatever reason, my body type, it's not comfortable. I really am into fitness. I'll spin daily. I swim. I row. I love skiing, both alpine and Nordic skiing. So I'm an active person, but for whatever reason, I've never been a good runner. It's been a very challenging portion of my life, and I've started to take it up until I got injured. I hurt my knee, and in the irony of all ironies, I'm married to the most wonderful orthopedic knee surgeon. My wife is fantastic, but my knee can't be operated on, so she can't even fix it. And wouldn't you know it, my dreams and ambitions of one day running a marathon are now not going to happen. I won't be running a marathon. And it just strikes me that I shouldn't have waited. Instead of waiting for my running to improve, instead of waiting for me to be a better runner, a faster runner, because again, not taking anything away from the people that half run and half walk, I think it's fantastic that they go out there and push themselves. My goal was to really run the 26.2 miles. Not fast, but run it. And so in that waiting, in that training, in that running, I subsequently suffered an injury, and now it's game over. So I won't be doing that. And so the goal and the message that I sent to my team, and I'm broadcasting to all of you, is don't wait for tomorrow. Live in the moment. Take the chances. Do the risk. Don't worry about this being perfect. This is our very first episode. We're filming it. We're live. I'm sure I've made all sorts of mistakes and I look kind of foolish, but you know what? I'm out here. I'm trying. I'm giving my all. I hope you've enjoyed, and I hope at the end of this, you want to stay tuned and listen to some more of these ideas. We're going to be broadcasting weekly, and I would encourage you to go ahead and subscribe to our channel and follow us on Periscope. And we learn by living, and we want to share that with you, and we really thank you for your interest. Thank you very much.